Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the April 5th Al-Anon readings, Encourage to Change, and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Excuse me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I'll take a moment to look this over. The question is, how do I express respect for myself and others today? And the person talks about learning through the 12 concepts of service how to work with others and how to trust. They realize that they're not expected to know everything and they're not responsible for everything. But they are responsible for asking for help and accepting it, trusting others to do their jobs. And they have a right to ask questions when they have concerns, but they don't have a right to rule. Today's reminder, the concepts help us work with others. They provide clear guidelines about our roles, sharing duties, and mutual respect. The quote is from Paths to Recovery. The concepts, we apply the concepts to our families, jobs, organizations, and communities. It helps us extend everything that we learn and program to families, jobs, organizations, and communities. How do I express respect for myself and others today? Well, the idea of humility comes to my mind first. I'm just looking up the concepts. Participation is the key to harmony, rights of repeal. Delegating, balancing service responsibility, among other things. But humility, when I am dealing with other people, when I remember humility, that we're all equal, that I'm no less and I'm no better, that tends to improve all my interactions with other people. Listening, trying not to think of what I'm going to say next, just listening. And of course, all these things are things that I'm practicing currently. They're not things that are like, once I know how to do them, I do them all the time. It's like it's a constant exercise. It's a constant practice of skills. Sometimes putting myself in other people's shoes, like trying to think of how they might feel or how I would feel under the same circumstances, sometimes that makes me more compassionate and understanding. All the while, doing what's right for me. So sometimes when I put, try to put myself in someone else's shoes, I can feel so much compassion that I almost feel compelled to do something that's not something that I want to do, but it would help the person. And so that's when I really have to examine what's best for me, my motives. And even if my motive is to really, really help, but it's really not going to be good for me, I have to I have to listen to that. And that's not easy at all. And a lot of times I just don't know how to help, but maybe it's not my place to help. I don't know. There's so much I don't understand. I just try to put one foot in front of the other and do the next right thing. That's all I can do. I'm going to take a moment to look this over. Hmm. This passage is about managing changes, awareness. I have a fuzz or something. I didn't get it, but I'm going to try to just ignore it. Okay. No, I'm not. Hold on. Pause button to the rescue. Okay, I'm back. This passage talks about when a loved one finds sobriety and there are a whole new set of challenges. The person's personality may change um, in many ways. Communication, intimacy, responsibilities, decision making, and some of the same problems that were happening while they were drinking may still be happening when they're sober. In this time, it's important to go back to the basics of our program and focus on ourselves. It's all right to feel a range of emotions, but it's most important to accept what we feel and share about it at our meetings. And that way, we're better able to take care of ourselves. Today's reminder: we show ourselves dignity when we explore exactly how we feel about changes that are happening, and we can communicate those feelings of how we're feeling about changes in Al-Anon. The quote is from In All Our Affairs. Al-Anon teaches us that what we feel does matter. I have not experienced, well, so it's so funny. Whenever I bring up my son, I I'm talking, I'm talking about a version of my son from over 10 years ago. And he's not the same person. But the way I can apply this to my life is by thinking about my son and the way he was when he was struggling with substance abuse and how much he changed as a person. I did not recognize him. I did not recognize him through his behavior. I still loved him. I still loved his soul. I still loved, my boy, my baby. But I didn't recognize the way he treated me. I didn't recognize his actions, the way he was treating himself. It was all so confusing. And really terrifying. And then when he got out of that, when he decided that wasn't what he wanted for himself and he changed things for himself, he was still different than I remember than when he was like before his substance abuse. So what I mean by that is it was like a it was like a 9-year window that he was having challenges of varying degrees. Was it a 9-year window? No. No, it was not a 9-year window. Oh my gosh. It was a 4-year window. A 4-year window. It started when he was about 14. And he left our home when he was 18. And then when he was about 19 or so, he decided to change the way he was doing things. So he was in a really high growth period when he started, like when things started to get rough, like 14-ish. So he was, you see what I'm saying? Like he was in a really, like an area where like we all grow and develop and change physically, emotionally, everything is developing so quickly. And so like I feel like, that chunk of time was just kind of extra challenging because what was like hormones and what was substances and like what is going on. And then when he left our home, I didn't know exactly where he was for about a year or so. Um, when he came out of that, it was like, of course, I recognized him as my son, but I kind of had to get to know like who he had kind of grown up to be, because when he started with his struggles, he was just kind of starting to mature. And then he was, you know, almost 20 years old by the time he kind of came out of that. So now he's going to be 30, and there are still things about him. Like I love talking with him because I just get to see who he is, adult to adult. Um, but that's what I think of when I read this passage, because it's different in the way that I experienced it. Um, and I mean that's okay. That's just from my experience. That's what I'm applying to this passage because that's all I have to apply it to. But I do agree. I mean, Al-Anon absolutely was my lifeline during that time, and it was the one place where I wasn't going to shock anybody with anything that I said, and I could cry, and I could also be very, very strong because people supported me and they gave me ideas and tools and just gave me hope that things would be okay. I would be okay no matter what. It's really the miracle of Al-Anon, which is why I still am involved to this day. Even though the crisis is over, there are so many things to apply what I've learned in Al-Anon to every aspect of my life, and I find it extremely helpful. We'll close out with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.